When the company announced its annual gala, I was genuinely happy for my wife, Emma. She had worked hard all year, earning recognition for her design skills and dedication. I encouraged her to go, even bought her a new dress that she had been eyeing for weeks. She looked stunning that evening, confident, glowing, and proud. As I watched her get ready, I couldn't help but feel a mix of admiration and unease. Lately, she'd been spending a lot of late nights at the office, and her boss, Mr. Carter, seemed to be mentioned in nearly every conversation. At the event, the ballroom buzzed with laughter and music. People from different departments mingled, glasses clinked, and the band began playing slow, romantic tunes. Emma and I had agreed I'd pick her up later since it was technically a work function, but I decided to surprise her by coming early. I thought it would be a nice gesture to see her enjoying herself, surrounded by the colleagues she often spoke about. When I arrived, I stood near the back of the room, unnoticed for a while. Emma was at the center of a small group, laughing with a few co-workers. But what caught my attention was her boss, standing a little too close. Then the music changed. A softer melody filled the hall. Mr. Carter extended his hand toward her. I saw the hesitation on her face, brief but clear, before she smiled and accepted. My chest tightened as they moved to the dance floor together. She looked uncomfortable at first, her posture stiff. But as the dance went on, she seemed to loosen up, smiling at something he whispered. The sight stung more than I expected. It wasn't jealousy that hit me, it was disappointment. After 12 years of marriage, I thought we'd reached a level of trust and respect where moments like this wouldn't even be questionable. I was about to leave quietly when another figure appeared beside them, a tall, younger man, one of her colleagues I'd met once before, named Daniel. He had a confident but kind presence, and as the next song began, I saw him approach Emma and her boss. He said something, I couldn't hear what, but Mr. Carter frowned slightly and stepped back. Then Daniel extended his hand toward Emma, smiling. She looked surprised but nodded. The change in her expression was immediate. The awkward tension she'd carried during the previous dance melted away. She laughed genuinely, spinning lightly as Daniel led her across the floor with effortless ease. The difference was night and day. This wasn't flirtation, it was comfort. He treated her with respect, keeping distance, talking, and making her laugh. The scene softened something inside me. When the song ended, she thanked him, and they both walked off the floor. That's when I decided to make my presence known. I approached slowly, and when she turned, her eyes widened in shock. "You came early," she said, visibly nervous. I smiled calmly. "I wanted to see you shine," I replied, glancing at Daniel, who nodded politely before stepping away to give us space. On the drive home, the silence between us was heavy. Finally, she spoke. "You saw that dance, didn't you?" she asked, her voice small. I nodded. "Both of them." She sighed, explaining that Mr. Carter had insisted, and she hadn't wanted to make things awkward in front of everyone. But she admitted she'd felt uncomfortable, and Daniel had noticed. He'd stepped in to help her out of an uneasy situation by offering another dance. Her honesty calmed my frustration. I realized then how quickly I had jumped to conclusions, how easily trust can shake when insecurity slips in. She looked at me with tired eyes and said, "I'm sorry if it looked bad. I should have told you sooner how pushy he's been lately." That night, she told me everything, how her boss had been making subtle advances, and how she tried to handle it professionally without creating drama. The next day, I suggested she talk to HR about the situation. To my surprise, Daniel had already filed a quiet report after witnessing several moments of discomfort between her and Mr. Carter. It made me respect him deeply, not as a rival, but as a good person who did the right thing. Emma later told me that Daniel's action gave her courage to stand up for herself, and within weeks, the company addressed the issue discreetly but firmly. Our relationship went through an honest phase after that. We began to talk more openly about work, boundaries, and the importance of communication. I learned that trust doesn't mean ignoring your instincts. It means being brave enough to confront what you fear without letting suspicion destroy what's real. Emma eventually changed departments, and interestingly, Daniel was transferred too, promoted for his integrity. We met him one last time at a farewell dinner, where he smiled and said, "You've got a great wife, sir. She just needed a real partner to look out for her." I shook his hand, knowing he was right. That evening, as Emma and I drove home, She reached for my hand and said softly, "You know, that night when I danced with him." I realized something. I looked at her curiously. She smiled faintly. "Respect feels more beautiful than attraction ever could." I smiled back, realizing that sometimes life tests love in quiet, unexpected ways. Not through betrayal, but through moments that ask if your faith in someone is strong enough to see the truth behind appearances. And in that test, both of us had finally passed.